A man whose eyes sparkle when he speaks of India and all that is Indian, who describes his discovering India way back in 1968 as a lucky twist of fate, His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA. One cannot but introduce this iconic Bahraini businessman without a reference to the subcontinent. An alumnus of Mumbai's St. Saviour's College, one of India's esteemed educational institutions, His Excellency ALSHOALA holds his passion for India so close to heart that he is the founder chairman of the Bahrain India Society, established in 2008. Bold and elegant, the man with determination once dared to choose his passion for business, leaving behind secure jobs, established the Alfanar Investment Holding and is currently the advisor to its board. An author himself who penned a book titled Gandhi and the Issues of Arabs and Muslims, His Excellency ALSHOALA is also the chairman of Dar al-Balad for Journalism, a name renowned among the country's news outlets. The former Labour and Social Development Minister is a man with that wisdom that he believes the key to generating jobs is to fit the training to the market needs. As a member of the appointed Shura Council and the second Vice Chairman of Bahrain Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the past, His Excellency is sure that one could strike a balance of roles when dealt in an organized manner. He also served as a board member in several semi-government organizations, including being the chairman of the General Organization for Social Insurance in Bahrain. Sharing from the leaves of his life spanning over 7 decades, detailing memories of days right from that as a messenger boy with a local contractor as he climbed up the rungs of success, the grandfather, father, and a husband who emotionally holds family close to his heart. Joining us tonight on the debut New Year episode of the BIZ Talk from BMC Global Live, His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA. Good evening, a very happy New Year to all our viewers from BMC Global Live family, and this New Year, on the very first episode of 2021 on BIZ Talk, we have a very special guest, Elegance Defined, former Labour Minister, Shura Council member, and advisor and founder of Alfanar Development and Dar al-Balad Journalism, none other than His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA.
Thank you.
Good evening, Your Excellency, and welcome to BIZ Talk, brought to you by BMC Global Life. It's indeed a pleasure and honor for us to have you with us this evening and this very first episode of BIZ Talk this new year. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here and grateful for the invitation, and I reciprocate your good wishes and feeling. I wish you and everybody in this organization a very successful and happy 2021. We're looking forward for the new year.
Yes.
With a great enthusiasm and hope and optimism.
Indeed, that is the word. We look forward to hope and enthusiasm. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Let me begin this talk show where we bring in success stories of business leaders, getting the people interact or know about businessmen like you, icons like you. Let me begin with this thing which I always had in mind. Whenever we hear the name ABDULNABI ALSHOALA, you're always remembered alongside India and Indians. What is this magic that binds you close to this country?
It's, I think, a pure coincidence, if I may say so, and if I have to go back to more than 50 years ago, actually, and precisely in 1969, when I visited India for the first time and for a short visit, and ended up to be for 4 years constant here, continuously staying there, and since then never a year passed without me being there, at least twice a year, except in this year, Corona year, last year. But I'm happy to say that my last trip was actually in Delhi in February 2020, and since then that was the last trip I made, out of Bahrain. Yeah, back to 1969 when I landed in India. At that time, Bahrain was a very small community. Today itself, we are just over 1 million plus 1.5 or plus or more than. At that time, I guess it wasn't more than 500,000, all of us here.
All right.
And the main colors, as you know, in those days, only two: white, which the men wears, black, which the women wear.
Yeah.
So, and we have very small Indian community, but a very vibrant and business community. In those days, we didn't have technicians or laborers or from India. We always have Indian businessmen. The business scene is actually, I won't say dominated, but the Indian presence there were there for many, many years. And even now, for a non-Muslim Indian, we say banyan.
Okay.
Because at the beginning, the banyas came.
That was the community that was
the
here.
community,
Yes.
the traders were there, and they were in the market all the time. And when I went to India, I was bewildered, with the size, with the sheer number of people, with the colors of the dresses. There is no color on earth which is not, the saris, the turban itself,
Yes.
so many kind and so many colors. The number of people, the different faces, I would say I was bewildered, and at that time, if one would use the word, love from the first sight, that's it. So I like the place. The main thing that has attracted me to see such diversity are living together, including human beings and animals. Nowhere in the world you will go and see on the streets, human beings and animals side by side, cats and dogs side by side. They are there. So coexistence is there. Tolerance, I gradually, of course, saw that in front of me, the spirits or the principles of coexistence and tolerance and living together and having space for everybody. There is no religion, there is no faith on earth which is not there. It's all there, and they are all living together in harmony. And that continued even if from time to time something happens, it goes back to even as of today. I can tell you, India will go back to its real spirit, you see, of coexistence, of living together, of keeping room for everyone there. There is no country in the world that has received people who left their countries out of torture and went to India. All faith, all religions went there. So that is the land where everybody lives together. We have seen in the history of India, there are times when there are some eruptions. But again, it disappears. It goes back. If I use that term, Muslims are safer in India than anywhere else in the world. I can say that.
Yes.
So having said that what was which has attracted me, the colorful, the diversity. I went there. I was going on my way to go to England to study, to go to the university. I stayed there. I said in addition to the academic education in the institutions, on the educational institutions, this is a whole university. This life is a whole university. You will learn everything from there, and that was true. I've never regretted being there for a second.
The passion with which you speak about India and Indians, it makes me really proud. Thank you, Your Excellency, for that beautiful start of this conversation. Those who joined us just now, this is Best Talk from BMC Global Live with His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA.
NSE Remit has launched Send and Win. Download NSE Remit app now.
Welcome back to BIZ Talk. We have with us this evening His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA. Your Excellency, let's come back to Bahrain from India. You've been the former Labour Minister for the country. And after all these years, how do you look at the labour market scenario in Bahrain? And if I may also ask you, how do you envisage, or what should the future be like? What is your vision about Bahrain's labour market?
It's very promising and very stable labor market condition we have here. And we are really lucky to say that we have the opportunity or the privilege that next to us there is that huge reservoir of talent, of knowledge, of experience, of education in India, as an example. And we are really grateful. I've always said that at the time when I was in the ministry, before and after, that we are really grateful for the contribution that the Indian skills have given us in all respects, in all aspects of our life and of our development. There is no job that we don't have from the accountancy to the medical to education to engineering to architecture. The whole walk of life, they are all there. Even in our own homes, there is no home without an Indian influence to the extent that the Indian food became our food. So the labor market has that opportunity or that advantage of having an easy access to the labor market. I've always said that both the countries should work together to enhance the quality and opportunity of the labor contribution here by not having majority of them in the semi-skilled and non-skilled. We should uplift that contribution to skilling more the people who will come to join, because the economy will change now.
Yes.
There will be lesser and lesser need for manual contribution.
Correct.
So you have to be ready. Now we all knew, because of the technological advances, there have been a lot of talk, and this is happening gradually, that many jobs will disappear.
Yeah, precisely.
And there will be requirement for a more qualified, a more talented, a more skilled people to take advantage of the market condition here. Now with this corona thing of last year has made the situation even more complicated, if I would say, which is speeding the need for quality more than quantity.
That's right.
Okay, and although there will be new jobs coming now, and new opportunities coming as well, because this situation have shown that there are opportunities now, jobs now created. And I
think it's more of innovation now.
That's right.
Isn't it? Yeah.
The innovation has become very important. Now we believe that the economy will grow. Bahrain economy will continue to grow. The GCC itself will continue to grow. There'll be much more, hopefully, much more integration, greater market opportunities to work together. So it will continue, the labor market, to grow in a steady way and in a professional way. I still believe that cooperation is needed. We all talk about localization and Bahrainization. Now these are very, very important. I haven't seen people who wanted, in those days particularly, that they wanted a job and that job is being occupied by a foreigner. No. It was a mismatching. We had a situation of mismatching of the graduates of the schools or educational institutions of Bahrain did not match the requirement of the labor market. And that's happening everywhere. Even in India it happens, you know.
I think that's global.
That's global, yes. Everywhere, and the business community always demanding a better product, a better outcome of the educational system.
Yes.
Now when we go to foreign market, and if we go to India and resort to their skills, we get the top. We go and get the top from there.
Yes.
You know? And we get them here. Whereas the need for uplifting the labor market, the labor quality of labor is important. Now, I think the answer to that is education. And education and education. One has really to look at the education, constant development to match with the changing environment. Still education will not be enough. Still education, there will be still the need for continuous training and skilling. This does not become a luxury to go for a training now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think labor and education are two segments which always have to go hand in hand.
Absolutely. You know, without it, I think I always say 3 times education.
Yes.
Is what is required. Then furthermore is, of course, the upbringing and the culture is important. You know, school, the home has also to contribute to the values. The people who will appreciate the value of working, you know. That comes from home. That comes from society as a whole. We all has really to uplift those values of working, of hard work, of commitment, of sincerity in work. You see, these are values that education itself does not install it in the students. You know, this is a community as a whole. You see that they should contribute in that, and I think that we will see that growing. We see it now happening. We will see more and more of it is taking place. So the labor market will grow.
Right, right. And when you emphasize on education, it reminds me of the alumnus of St. Xavier's, Bombay.
Yeah.
His Excellency is the alumnus of this prestigious institution, and no wonder you were talking of the colors of Bombay. And I remember reading somewhere where you have taken your wife to Bombay soon after your wedding. And I think the next 3 consecutive holidays were in Bombay, that she had to remind you that there are other countries in the world too to go for holidays. That piece was very interesting. So that indeed described your passion. And yet another personality that we would love to hear from you is Father de Cruz. I'm sure you remember Father de Cruz.
Of course. Yeah. I cannot forget Father de Cruz. Now, when I was invited, I was there in India for about 2 months by that time, and I was invited by an Arab businessman who lives in Bombay for many years to his house, which I feel very privileged. At that time I was a student, and I went there, and he has 2 daughters, and the daughter asked me, "What are you doing here? How long you been here?" I said, 2 months plus. He said, "What are you doing?" I couldn't say I'm coming for tourism, because those days, you know, the hippies and all that. She may think that I'm one of those. Nor I wanted to say. I said, I'm looking to join an educational institution. It will open soon, the academic year, so I'll join them. And she said, "Which college you will join?" And I heard of the St. Xavier's College, so I told her, "I'm going to join St. Xavier's College." Okay. And the young girl jumped and said, "You will join? There is no chance. There is no way." Last year I applied. I'm a graduate of St. Mary's Schools, and they did not accept me. And my sister also a graduate of St. Mary's Schools, and she's applying for this year, and we don't think she will get an admission. You think you will get? And she started laughing, you know, at me. Okay. That's one. And then to cut a long story short, until I left home, they're telling me, "Good night, Mr. St. Xavier's College." Okay. So I went, I said, "What is going on? Why not I try?" Next day I put on my suit and my tie and my briefcase and took a taxi, St. Xavier's College. Okay. So I went there and asked, "Well, where is the principal?" And I think the people thought I'm an educational expert coming with my suitcase and all that, so they took me straight to the principal's office. Father de Cruz. "Hello, Father. Good morning, good morning." And I told him I came for admission. He said, well, did you see that queue outside? I said, yes, I did. How long do you think that queue? I said, about 300 meters. He said, what makes you bypass them all and come for the admission? I said, well, Father, I have already crossed 3,000 kilometers to come and see you for that, for this purpose, you know. So I had a longer queue than them. Anyway, he was impressed for a number of reasons, and he said, you have a problem with your English language. It's not very good at all. I said, well, give me a chance. And then I was enrolled. So he gave me the admission. And no, I also told him, I must admit here, that Father, you have to decide today, because I have a scholarship, and the scholarship is dependent on me joining your college.
Okay.
And unfortunately, today is the last day.
Okay, you set conditions before him. You literally set conditions before him.
So he was very sympathetic, and he said, I come from very weak background. Please help me, and you are a father. My future is in your hand, and you are a man of God, and all this. And finally, it worked. And he was a little bit impressed, a little bit sympathetic, because I just want to go in the evening to the house of
this guy to tell that
I got the admission. And then, and that's what I did. You know, in the evening I went with a bouquet of flowers. I'm in the college. If you need any help, let me know. And then a few weeks later, I went to see Father De Cruz. Became like a guardian to me, because that was in the form. You have to mention the guardian.
Local guardian.
And I said, well, I have to put either you or God. One, I have nobody here.
Okay.
So he decided, okay, put my name as a guardian. So went to him after a few weeks. Said, Father, I'm not Christian, I'm not Catholic, but I have a confession to make. So what is it? I said, Father, I didn't have any scholarship before, and it was not the last day. But I wanted to join. Would you forgive me? He said, okay, you are forgiven.
Okay.
And we became very close to me. After I finished and I came here, I invited him many, many times. He came, he stayed with us. And also he stayed at St. Christopher Church there. He used to go there for a number of times. And whenever I go to Bombay, I see him, I invite him for dinners and lunches, and we sit together with friends also. And unfortunately, he passed away many years ago now. And he was teaching in Tokyo, in Japan.
Okay.
A very brilliant and teacher and very human, you see. Yeah. It was a great experience.
That was a beautiful narrative. I really wanted our listeners to hear it straight from His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA, because that speaks of a bond more than a teacher-student relationship, and that also speaks of how His Excellency is capable to work his way through the gift of gab and the personality, which I, in my intro, said elegance defined. And I've also heard people said, and you still are, you're handsome personified as well. That's with us this evening on BIZ Talk. Let's take a short break with His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA.
NEC Remit. Send money online to India. Credit in seconds with great rates. Download NEC Remit app now. NSE Remit has launched Send and Win. Download NSE Remit app now.
Welcome back to BIZ Talk from BMC Global Live, and this evening we have with us His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA. Your Excellency, I have interacted with a couple of, or more than 2 to 3 businessmen on the same platform, and they always, when they shared their success story, they always had to share with me something beautiful, the story of struggle, what brought you here, the real success story. Do you have anything like that to share with us this evening, which could be an inspiration to budding entrepreneurs, young businessmen who are struggling, businesswomen who are struggling out there? Is there any story that you would like to share with us this evening?
Yes, indeed. I tell you, in my generation, in Bahrain, I'll talk, probably more than 90% of the businessmen you see here are actually self-made. They started from the beginning and they worked very hard to reach where they are. I'm also one of them, We all started to work even at the time when I was in the school. In the afternoon, we used to go and work. In the school holidays, the summer holidays, we go and work. I worked with a very big businessman as a messenger when I was there, okay? And many, many years later, in fact, at the time when I was minister, I invited them for dinner, and he was there. And I did remind him of that, and I thanked him because I thought when I saw him, and I will mention his name, the late Yusuf Al-Muayyad, father of Farouk Al-Muayyad, a gracious man, a man with a stature and dignity, I always look at him with admiration. And one day one should be like that, And yes, we did work started from a humble start, and that itself is a school. That is the school of business, which unfortunately the generation of today's days, they don't have it.
Yes.
They don't need it, or they don't need to do it. And they're actually missing a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's where people will learn the value of work, the value of money, the value of things. So this is true that I'm also one of the people who started from the beginning as a self-made person, and I'm proud of it. Although sometimes one would think probably would have been better if one was born with a bit of cushions around him, but if you look at it today, I think
yes, the fruit is sweeter today, isn't
that's
it? Your
right.
Excellency,
So one feel that he's enjoying the result of that hard work, and probably without that, maybe one would not have reached to what one would have reached. So yes, I worked, and then when I finished the schools in Bahrain, I wanted to go for university education, but I have no means to do that, no financial means to do it, so I have to work for 3 years first. And in those days, I'm talking about early 60s, okay, in Bahrain, the position of a teacher was very important, and this is like now a banker, teaching is something that, and also there was a need for teachers. So most of the graduates of the schools, they go as teachers. And I have 2 friends, and we applied for applied for working as teachers. As soon as I finished the examination, second day I was working.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to work with a contractor, a small contractor in Bahrain, who also has a brick factory and aggregate crusher, stone crusher, and I worked with him. At that time, the salary was in rupees, 350 rupees per month.
Okay.
Okay, and then, so I worked there, and then when the result of the examination came, I applied for a teacher with my 2 friends. Soon after a little while, the acceptance came for the three of us.
Okay.
But then I decided to think that I was chosen to teach Arabic language. Okay. And then I have decided not to go. And everybody was surprised. You are leaving a very secure job, clean job, respect job with so many holidays. You know, in our teachers, they get so many holidays.
Yes.
Summer, winter, spring, every
But
season.
gone are those days, Your Excellency. Now you ask the teachers the burden that they take.
Yeah, those days it was different. I think they
Yes.
got a lot of holidays, you know. So, but I said, no, I want to learn from this man. This is where, because if you teach Arabic language, grammar doesn't change, you know.
Yeah.
You cannot have any innovation or any,
Yes.
you cannot change the grammar, you cannot change numbers, you cannot change geography, you have to repeat yourself every year the same thing, and you will never learn, you know. You make others probably learn, but you don't learn anything.
Growth, yeah.
Yeah. So I have chosen to stay with the contractor to work instead.
Okay.
Almost 12 hours a day working. He doesn't know anything called holidays or weekend or anything. No security, no job security at all compared to the government job.
School job,
But
yeah.
still I have chosen. There's only one condition I told him, because at that time the salary in the school government was 450 rupees a month. And I was getting 350 rupees. So he agreed to give me 100 extra
Okay.
which was a great increase at one time, you know. To me. And I continued working there for 3 years, and I did learn a lot, you know. And I saved, not enough, but I saved enough to, because after 3 years you have to stop, and otherwise you will not then go to college.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning of that. That's where I started working, and I went there. The amount I have saved actually was not enough. But when I was planning to go to London for the university there, I thought, okay, maybe this is enough for 1 year. And then I will clean plates or anything like everyone else, and then continue to work there. Many do that, like that, you know.
That's right.
Many they go, and so I'll be one of those. Now in India, you cannot go on the clean dishes,
Yes.
you know. There are many people cleaning dishes. And however, I managed to do some work. I started translation. Okay, I started teaching Arabic for schools. So this is how one learned and how one grows and how things builds up, you know. The basic thing, of course, for one to start is the hard work. There is no answer to that.
No substitute to
No
hard
substitute
work.
to hard work. Sincerity, you have to. Punctuality is important, and honesty. You know, these are important. Capital, don't believe in it. You know, if you want to start business, capital, I have seen, and my experience shows, is the last thing you need. I have seen people in the business with a huge amount of capital, which is all gone. They inherited huge amount of wealth, gone. And I have seen their project, their business were bought by people who started from zero, without capital. So this is a lesson very clear, you know, that the most important asset you need is your determination and is yourself. And this has proved when I came back from India. I joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that was in 1973, for a short while. Then came the October War of 1973, if you remember, and the prices of oil shot up. So very clear the economy now will change, you know, and there'll be huge opportunities, okay? And I thought, okay, I will leave this job and go and try my luck in the market, you know. I'll start a new business. I'll start public relations. Those days, nobody knew even public relations.
Yes,
Even
and nobody would associate public relations with business.
That's right, you know. So this is, and then I decided to resign and start. Everybody at those days, we used to work 6 days a week, and until 1 o'clock in the
Afternoon.
Yeah. So everybody advised me, why don't you try first in the afternoon, and don't lose your job in case you don't succeed. I said, no, I won't do that. I feel I will succeed. I'm 100% going. And this is very important in business, because you said for a young entrepreneur to hear this, never go half-hearted to anything.
Yes.
You go with full confidence, full trust, full drive, you know. We have a saying in Arabic, you know, Spain was conquered by a commander called Tariq ibn Ziyad. You see, Gibraltar in Arabic actually is Jabal Tariq.
Okay.
And it is written there. When you go, you find it. So when Tariq they wanted to conquer Spain, he put everybody on the ships. He then landed, reached there. He emptied all the ships, you know, everything, soldiers, everything, weapons, everything. And he burned the ships. And he said, you have no choice.
Yes.
Okay, either succeed or you will be killed. No choice. So I did the same. I brought that example. I said, I'm going to do like Tariq ibn Ziyad. I will burn the ships because I know I will succeed. So this is very important, that in addition to the sincerity, hard work, commitment, punctuality, honesty, you should also have inside you
determination,
that gut of success and determination. And success comes when you have it. And if you think of failure, that will come.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so
I think it's all about having your heart in what you want.
That's right.
And following your heart's passion.
That's
What
right.
more a beautiful message can we hear on this New Year week, on the very first BIZ Talk episode with His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA. We take a short break.
NEC Rabbit. Send money online to India. Credit in seconds with great rates. Download NEC Rabbit app now. NEC Rabbit has launched Send and Win. Download NEC Rabbit app now.
Welcome back to BIZ Talk with His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA. Your Excellency, thank you for that beautiful message which went out to every business person who wants to pursue something that fills us so much with confidence. And hearing it from a person like you, who had spanned through various positions, whether you were the minister, you were a Shura Council member, and you were at the Bahrain Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Chamber of Commerce, you were with the GOSI, and different positions, and the Al-Fanar, and the Dar al-Bilad. So different hats. But I would like to next ask you to tell us about the business point of view. You were in the decision-making situation Shura Council and the BCCI. Alongside, you were also a businessman on your own. What are the principles that you hold close on to ensure that there is a balance of all these roles? Because you represent the business community, the private sector, and the decision-making community at the Shura Council. Did you find at any point of time some clashes within or difficult to take decisions? How did you balance this?
It's tough, it's not an easy thing, but I always believe when there is a will, there is a way, You can do that. You can do as many, Parkinson law also
yes.
talks about the same thing, When you have the will to do it, you can do it and you can maintain the balance, sometimes at the cost of your comfort. That's sometimes also at the cost of your family situation, you see, because you don't have enough time as much as you would love to give to your family. But I'm grateful and happy and I'm lucky to have a family who has shown an understanding and supported me. And this is very, very important. The success of the person starts in his family. If you are able to maintain a happy situation within your family, you manage the relationship. If you fail to manage the relationship of your own family, you can never manage to run or manage the relationship of your business and of your other commitments, and that was possible. So I must say, yes, it was possible. You can organize the time perfectly well. I was running my business. I was in the Chamber of Commerce and in number of committees for 13 years in the Chamber of Commerce, and I became the deputy chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. At the same time, I was also appointed at the Shura Council, and I continued to be there, and I was with another public social organization or social community organizations, societies, etc., philanthropic societies, trustees of a school, Al-Bayan School at that time.
Sorry to cut you, Excellency. I think you must mention of Bahrain India Society, founded by you, isn't it?
Of course, that's in the blood,
Yes.
Yes, indeed. So it is at that time, the Bahrain India Society came later.
Okay.
At that time, and then came, of course, the ministerialship, where I have to resign from all the other organizations, including the Chamber of Commerce, etc. And then the ministry took all the time, including my business. I have to relinquish the business to my family to run it. And and at that time, the ministry, like now, it's Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs. Now it is called Ministry of Labor and Social Development. And it is a full-time job.
Yes.
And especially at that time, it was not an easy time politically in Bahrain, and the unrest of the laborers at that time. We have also came later also when His Majesty the King took over, and the reforms which took place, the development of the associations as social organization which are needed for democracy. So there was that influx of the formation of number of political societies, which was new at that time. Mind you, at that time, I must say also, in my days, I remember the number of Indian association which were approved at that time. It was 32.
Okay.
I'm sure it is much more now,
much more now,
Malayalam
yes.
and Gujaratis and you name it, it's all there. So yes, it is possible, to maintain the balance. But things at the cost of other things, the relaxation sometimes. I'm very bad with the sports. I neglected sports completely. I was in India, when I was in India, no cricket at that time, as it is now.
Yes.
But in those days, I think it takes 6 days or some, the matches, goes on for days, 6 days. And everybody asks, what's the score? What's the score? And I don't know. So what I have done, I started, whenever I see anybody, I ask him, what's the score? And they tell me. So if anyone next asks me, at least I remember the figures he told me. But I never got this. So that is also, unfortunately, that is an area where I have missed or I have neglected, you know, sports. But all other things was going very well. And I was still I was writing. I have even now I have a weekly column regularly every Sunday in the newspapers, you know, in political and economic and social issues regularly. I publish it, except tomorrow because it's a New Year's, you see. So yeah. I gave myself a break for that one. Yeah. But I continued, and even when I was in India, as I told you, when I was a student, there was a shortage of money. The money I went was not enough. So one of the income I had is I used to write to newspapers here as well.
Okay.
Yes, and I have interviewed Mrs. Gandhi.
Your Excellency, you must share with us your meeting with former Indian Prime Minister, late Mrs. Indira Gandhi. I think you have had a chance to interview her.
Yes, I did, and I met her in more than one occasion. In one occasion also, when I came back here, we led a group of students that met with her.
I think Bahrain students or Arab students?
Bahrain,
Bahrain students.
From Bahrain.
Yeah.
I used to be involved with an organization called United Schools International, which is affiliated to the United Nations, and we were involved into organizing youth exchange programs, students, etc. And when I led the students from Bahrain to go to India, I have managed to get them also to meet with Mrs. Gandhi, which was considered to be not abnormal, but normally students very rarely for a busy person, the head of the country, head of the government, will give a time at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, you know, there, you know. And yes, I met her during the Bangladesh war, that time, you know, and interviewed her and had covered a lot of about the Indo-Pakistan war at that time and the liberation of Bangladesh. I was given a lot of, to tell you the truth, a lot of support, a lot of information, because I was probably the only Arab Muslim media representative, because I have registered myself as a media representative, as a press representative. So they were very happy to give me information and to see that message is conveyed, and I was only writing, of course, to newspapers in Bahrain, but it was I was really enjoying the amount of support. I think when I even recently wrote about the visit of a foreign minister of Iraq at the time of Saddam Hussein when he went there. They were trying to cooperate in the nuclear area, this one. But the Indians were very cautious, and they were not sure whether they want to involve with the regime of Saddam Hussein on programs like this. I heard it there. But they have invited me to go and meet with and I have also made an interview with him. And I went with the whole delegation to the Baba Atomic Energy Center, you know, there, to go with him also. So that was quite a remarkable time and stimulating for the energy. When you really, I still managed to pass my exam. I didn't get the first class. With all of this, being the president of the Bahrain Student Association, Arab Student Union, involved in writing, you know, you need Einstein to be to get the first class or something. So I just managed to get past.
So you've always been a very busy person, from student life to college. I mean, the future. That takes me to this question. Tell us about your family, who has been putting up with all these busy schedules and your go-getting attitude. Who are the people behind this strength?
Yes, as I said, I think my wife takes the credit for that, and I can tell you the one who said, I don't say behind every great man there is a woman. I think beside every man there is a woman. If there is no woman beside you,
I would underline that.
that's right. Yes, if you don't have a woman beside you, your wife beside you, then your chance of success or a victory is rather weak. You know, we are able to achieve what one. I'm sure the people you met also before, especially those who are self-made, their families has a lot to contribute, a lot of credit to take for. In fact, all the credit, I would say, because without it, you would not be. So I say that I'm lucky and to have a very good wife who supported me and a family who has understood me. I have 3 girls and 1 boy. Now they are grown up, all of them, and I have 8 grandchildren.
Grandchildren, yes.
And the best time the best time I have in every day is when I see one of my grandchildren at least, you know, and they come and visit us regularly. Unfortunately, last year was a tough year because of the corona and social distancing, which is very painful. That is the most painful thing about that year or this disease, is we are going contrary to what we have been brought up to be.
The culture,
social closeness. You have to be close. You have to be together. You have to be with your family. You have to be with your parents. You have to be with... And now they tell us, stay away from them. That was the painful part of the whole thing. That disruption of the social relationship between families, between friends, between associates. You know, came this social distancing and Zooming and all that, you know.
Yes, indeed. I can see that pain in you, and none of us are different from that. None of us were spared from that. And as we come to the close of this beautiful evening, I may have a couple of more simple questions before we wind up, because spanning over 5 to 6 decades of your life, it's like a textbook, and we can never stop this beautiful conversation. It's an honor and pride to have you with us. Your Excellency, your interest in journalism, and that's what we have, the Dar al-Balad, the newspaper, Al-Balad newspaper, and you touched upon public relations to start as a business, isn't it? What is your take on today's journalism? And of course, 2020 has brought to us platforms like the Bahrain Media City, these kind of platforms, the virtual platforms. Where do you think the future is taking us in the field of journalism?
I think the future is even greater, and there's more of opportunities. I remember those days when I used in the 70s, when one would write an article, the pain and the effort he has to put in researching, getting the information, it's so difficult to get it. The amount of reading you have to do, the sources or the resources that you have, the sources that you have to find, the books you have to read, all of that. Now it is in your hand.
Yes.
In your mobile, you know, and in your hand you can do it, and you are sitting there. So it is getting much easier, and the world now is much more communicated. And it has to be communicated. And it will be more communicated. And as such, the media, the role of the media will be essential and will be necessary for human interaction. Now we just said about Corona. Luckily, with the media now, you can't meet your family, but you see them.
See them, yes.
You see with you, you know. So more and more, the media will have a greater place in our life, increasingly. In business, in social life, and look at the social media, what is happening to us, you know. We can't escape it, you know. So this is important, and I can see this, your project here in Bahrain. This is not only timely, but also very important and very vital, and the community here needs it. There is that need for continuous interaction. You are playing like the ambassador, carrying the goodwill and good wishes between our people here to your people there.
Yes.
And I think this is commendable, and you should be appreciated, and you should be supported in any way. And I'm really grateful that you gave me this opportunity to be in your program.
No, the pride is ours, Your Excellency. We thank you indeed. And touching on that point, we must refer to your book on Gandhi. We cannot skip that. You as a journalist or a writer, what made you write that book? What was the vision behind it? What is the aim behind it?
As I told you, when I landed in India in 1969, India was celebrating the 100th anniversary of the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi. And at that time, there were only a few years since the independence, and everybody see with the gratefulness and with the pride what he had, and with also sometimes with pain and sorrow for his tragic end. So he was there. And being a student of politics, you know, there I took political science and public administration. So Gandhi was there with me all the day in my studies, because I have to take political development in India, history, political development, everything. So Gandhi there, Gandhi everywhere there. And also what has impressed me and touched me, that life in India going on based on the diversity and the unity there, people living together, coexistence and peaceful understanding. And that is, I believe, and I still believe, that the root of that is indeed in the Indian culture and in the Indian spirit. But Gandhi managed to bring it up, and in the politics also. So see, so that is what made me really made me more interested in learning more about Gandhi. Since then, I was reading. Secondly, when I came back here, and at the time when I thought of publishing the book, the idea was there many years before, but there was no time. But then I had to create the time, because we, as you know, we had this constant disruption, wars and conflict in our region. You got the war between Iraq and Iran, you got the invasion of Kuwait, you got the invasion of Iraq, you have the problem in Syria, you have violence, wars, bloodshed everywhere. Then you have groups coming like ISIS, like all that kind of things. There is a need to evoke in this region, in our region, more than anywhere else, to evoke those principles, you know, of Gandhi, of peaceful coexistence and peaceful manner and non-violence. You can solve your problem. He managed to obtain the independence of India, the jewel of the British crown, to take it from the hands of the British Empire, or from the hand of Churchill, who was this one, without firing a bullet. You know, this is the lesson that we have to learn in our, and all over the world, increasingly so. So that education was needed here. And I thought it is a duty for everybody to contribute. And I thought one of those responsibility is to bring that message to our people, to learn from the life and the achievement of Gandhi, that we should learn his principles and his teachings of peace, of love, of coexistence, of non-violence. That's one. Secondly, 4 years is not a small year. Yes, I have been there. I lived in that country. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I feel I'm grateful to that place. At least I should pay back a little of it, and that is no measure to what I got. So that's one way of paying back a little. I continued to write about India all the time, you know, and I feel that I write the right thing for the benefit of our people, both the people. But this book was one sort of a landmark in my contribution in that direction, which is also to say to India, thank you. The book is also not only talking about Gandhi, but also trying to teach our people here more, to learn more, to understand more about India. So contributing to better understanding, better interaction. It was received very well. It was the first print, or the first edition in Arabic, finished quickly. It was nominated for prizes. The second one already running out now, although these days there were no book fairs or anything, but still now we are talking about the third edition. The book also is translated already to Urdu and to Malayalam and published already, but in the process by end of this month, Hindi and English will be also published. The English one is published by Rupa Publishing in Delhi, which is the largest publishing house there. So I'm very happy with the response that the book has managed to get.
Great. Thank you, Your Excellency, and that was a beautiful evening. And before we wind up, we have stepped into one more year. Perhaps 2021 is a year which no other year might have been much awaited by everyone, isn't it? All of us were looking forward to this year. What is one thing that you would want to see happening in 2021? Do you have a personal goal or for the world from after all the bleakness that we saw in 2020? What is that one message that you have?
I think last year has made us very humble in our expectation and in our aspiration. I think the one would like to see, and the hope that we all have, is that at least that disease should really be controlled and should be eliminated from the human beings. And I believe once that is done, the future is bright and prosperous. I think people now have learned a lot in this situation, in this year, with this disaster, I would call it. We have learned a lot. We have learned a lot of values also. We have appreciated a lot of things which we used to take for granted.
Precisely.
You know? Now I think the whole human race, and I think our region and India is included, and probably they'll be in the forefront to see that we catch up now.
Yes.
With what we have lost and what we have missed, and to be able to explore more opportunities, and we are capable of that.
Thank you, Your Excellency. That was a beautiful interaction on BIZ Talk with BMC Global Live. So as we come to the end of the show, we have a token of appreciation to Your Excellency, Mr. ABDULNABI ALSHOALA, and may I invite Chairman of BMC Global Live, Francis Kaidaratha, and Administration Director, Sudhi Puttanvalikara, to come forward and hand in the memento. Your Excellency. With that, we come to the close of yet another episode of BIZ Talk, the very first of 2021, with His Excellency ABDULNABI ALSHOALA, former Minister and Shura Council member, founder and advisor to Alphanar Investment Holding, and Chairman of Al Bilad for Journalism. Until we meet next week with yet another business icon, this is me, Raji Unikrishnan, signing off. Good night.